Well, folks, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune, because it's time for another week of the RecPoker podcast. And we are here just operating as smoothly and professionally as you would expect for any podcast that takes itself seriously. If you don't know what we're all about, we're the RecPoker community is a group of enthusiastic, encouraging, positive, recreational poker players. We like studying together, we like playing together, we like winning together, because we play for fun, but it's more fun when you win. So we all try and get together, we train, we learn from other poker sites. I have to thank our sponsors, because most of what we do here is free. That major sponsor we have is the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and so we really appreciate their support. I'm also so pleased to have so many premium members. I see there's several premium members in the YouTube chat here already. Like we are getting together for free every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern. We're going to be talking to Kevin Mathers soon about some amazing World Series of Poker details that we can't wait to get into. We've got new prizes from 100K Studios on Tuesday nights in the home game. We're going to talk about the RecPoker meetup game down in Vegas this summer in June. But first of all, I'm going to introduce, or allow them to introduce themselves, the other members of the RECing Crew, because my name's Jim Reid. I'm Bluffsterini in the home game, and at RecPokerJim on Twitter, and you get used to hearing my voice on Mondays, but it's just because they give me the mic. There's a whole crew of people that make the magic happen around here, and if you want to find out more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, you can head on over to rec.poker/crew, or just listen up, because you're going to meet a couple of them right here tonight.
My name is Joe Coolis. You can find me at JoeCoolPhD on Twitter, cool with a K, or as Elvita11 in the home game.
I'm Kim Kilroy. I'm PetBet_33 on Twitter, and I am Fergie56 or PetBet in the home game.
And like I mentioned, we've got Kevin Mathers in the house, a RECing Crew member himself. So Kevin, please, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can reach you as well, my friend?
Yes, most people know where to find me on Twitter. I'm at KevMath, and when I do play the RecPoker home game, I am Kev Maths. That's with an S for savings, or slowly losing my chips. The home game. It's been a while since I played, but I should probably hop into tomorrow night's game. There's seems like there's some good stuff available, so I have to my shot.
That's a great point, Kevin. Yeah, well, I'll just take that segue for a second. So Kevin's often joining us in our Tuesday night online play-in hangs, which is a really fun way to hang out while you're playing in the home game. And on Tuesday nights for the month of May, June, and July, 100K Studios is doing a Player of the Year race, or a Player of the Month race, a leaderboard, where the winner can win a $1,000 package to a Run Good event in August, sometime later this summer. So all you have to do is play in our home games like usual. They're free to play in. Just play on Tuesday nights, and everyone who makes the final table will be awarded some points. And if you like, come join our online play-in hang and just hang out over Zoom, have a couple of drinks, and enjoy the banter and the good-natured ragging that we give each other on those online hangs on Tuesday night. So we're excited about this one. We've got Kevin Mathers back in the house. Kevin, it's so great talking to you about the WSOP. You are sort of the man when it comes to this, and I want to encourage our folks in the chat. If you have any questions for Kevin, just type them into the YouTube chat there, and I'll also encourage you to stick around till the end of the episode, because just like every episode, we're going to be giving away a prize for free, a raffle for all our YouTube visitors tonight, and so there's some great value to be had. Some people are going to have a good time with some amazing poker resources, all for free. Joe and Kim, I don't know, Joe, I'm not sure if you're coming down to Vegas, but I know, Kim, you are. Why don't you just talk about a couple of things that folks might find helpful as they're traveling down to Las Vegas this year? Like, Kim, what do you carry with you in your bag at the table, for instance? Like, you travel a lot for poker. What are the sort of the thing, chargers and bottles of water and that kind of stuff? What's important that people have on them while they're playing?
Yeah, those two.
Okay, can you elaborate a little for a few minutes here, Kim? Thank you.
Chargers and bottles of water are a great idea, but and I take healthy snacks because I can't eat most of the food that they serve there, and there's not all that much healthy food you can find in the venue, in my opinion. So I think it's really important to load yourself up with healthy snacks that are going to keep you going for a long grind in the day, and to staying focused. I personally take cash down and I load it into the cage when I get there. And then I use the Bravo app that Kevin was talking about to register. And then I just go to the kiosk and print my ticket out. I found the lines were super, super long last year, and even the payout lines super long. I was going to ask Kevin if they're going to get any better. But yeah. So those are some of the things I do. And the other thing that I would recommend to people is try not to play every day that you're there. Try to take some days off, go out to the mountains or take a side trip and just try and de-stress and try not burn yourself out at the poker tables.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Let me see, Kevin. I think we've got your phone here on the other line. There we go. Oh, got a bit of an echo, but
yeah.
All right,
I think
nice. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
we got him.
Now, yes, I'm in.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. But
no,
yeah,
no, that's okay.
I was listening to what Kim was saying, and yes, I would definitely agree. It's always good to have your own personal snacks, beverages. Water obviously is very important. It's very important to stay hydrated. And another, speaking of that, another thing that you should do is, I would definitely not. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but because, but you can bring in a bag of if you bring a backpack, and there's definitely many properties, many stores on the strip, or if you're staying on Airbnb or wherever in Vegas, I would definitely bring stuff, purchase stuff at a grocery store or somewhere like a CVS or Walgreens, because the prices inside the casino are usually much higher than you expect to pay when you're at home.
Yeah, that's a key one. So folks that are watching along in the YouTube chat, I think we might just go over some of that information that we were talking about with Kevin before, just some of the highlights, Kevin, so that we can make sure that folks understand a couple things. And then I appreciate your flexibility with this. I should have just, when we did our pre-show, I should have just said, no, just call in. But this will work out well. Okay, so just to catch us up, Kevin, we were talking a little bit about some changes this year with satellites. Why don't you just hit the high notes for that, so that people know for sure what's going to be different this year, what they shouldn't screw up.
Okay, so one of the big things this year is there are no longer any single table satellites. People that played over the past few years, they definitely remember the tournament buy-in chips, or lammers as most people call them, that you could use to buy, if you win a satellite, then you would get a $500 chip that you can use for other events. The issue was people were selling those, and they do say no cash value, but there was kind of like an underground economy going on with those chips. So they got rid of the chips this year, and so there's just going to be multi-table satellites running for the 2023 edition, and a lot of them, some events that you'll be able to use them for, they're going to be direct entry. For example, like the Mystery Millions or Gladiators of Poker, the $300 event. If you play a satellite, win your seat, you get entry into the event. And most of the satellites are going to be happening, and there's going to be several running on a daily basis. Is you're going to receive casino chips, which is basically you can use them as cash, or you can use. I paid the WSOP would prefer you buy into other events with those casino chips. And so you buy, some events, there's, the higher up the buy-in of the satellite, the more likely you're going to win a direct entry into the event. And events that have, when you receive a net win of over $5,000, it'll be considered a taxable event. So you'll get a tax form for players outside the United States. It's probably best to get it's called an ITIN. If you don't have one, the WSOP should be able to provide that this year for players. I know that was an issue last year, but most events will be under. It's basically like from $130 to $580. You're going to be winning from $1,000 to $2,000 or up to $5,000 in casino chips. And there's going to be some events where the buy-in will get you a $10,000 seat, either a main event seat or into one of the many $10,000 championship events that will be running at the WSOP this year. And there's other events that which just going to be, you have the option of basically winning a seat or getting chips. But if the net is over 5,000, it's going to be taxable if you take chips. So that's why you're hopefully wanting to play a 10K event instead of getting 10,000 chips and then you're going to get taxed on that. So which most people don't like taxes.
That is a big difference. Yeah, please continue.
I just have a quick question about that.
Oh, yeah,
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Yep.
So am I understanding this right? If you take the direct entry, you don't get a tax form, or you're going to get tax?
No,
But if you take the chips, you get a tax form.
If it's now I know since you're from, I'm not sure they take. Yeah, right. Well, I did know that. I can tell by the flag. But
subtle hint.
Yes, very subtle. I don't know if you played Sandwich and won and got cash. So, but if you get cash, it's basically I don't know how the situation works. You get taxed on the cash part. I mean, if it's direct entry, you win a seat, and you're not going to get taxed on winning a seat.
Okay, that is what I wanted to know, Kevin, because I was in Florida this past winter, and they do tax you as a Canadian on a seat to a tournament. So
yes,
I am happy to hear that I won't be taxed on winning a seat, because I hope to be able to play a satellite or two while I'm there.
Right. Yes. I know a fellow Canadian of yours who talks about that often and I don't know why that procedure is that way in the Seminole casinos in Florida, but no, because you're if you're playing a satellite into an event and you're playing a main event satellite, you play 1,100 and you win a $10,000 seat, and you register for the tournament, you're not going to get taxed on that. It's only in situations where the event is you're basically receiving chips for you're receiving casino chips and stuff.
So, Kevin, the other thing I thought would be helpful for our listeners to know, just in case they couldn't make it out earlier, could you just talk a little bit about moving the money around, entering securely, and not having to carry around thousands of dollars worth of cash on the streets of Las Vegas?
Yes, that's definitely an issue for some people. So if you go to WSOP.com/registration, excuse me, there are several options where you can register for events online, or you can send a wire transfer to the WSOP page, and then you could use those funds to buy into events from the cage. So there's wire transfers, and the instructions are available at WSOP.com/2023. And you can use your debit card, you can use your credit card. Just to be aware that there are fees associated with. It's usually about 3% of the buy-in itself when you register online for events. And another important thing to know is, even if you've registered online in previous years, you do have to get verified every year. So the first event you register for online when you come to Las Vegas, and after starting on May 30th, there'll be there's a verification office in the Champagne Ballroom at Paris, and there'll be plenty of signage to direct you where you need to go. And it's basically you prove you show your ID, or you show your ID and your credit or debit card, whatever you use to register for an event. And once you do that one time with that particular payment method, then you can register online for other events and print out from a kiosk, which will be now, as I know Kim was saying, hopefully the more people that register online, the less the lines will be for people who don't want to use that option. I mean, personally, I think, online registration is really good because, especially for the big weekend events, there's always going to be a very long line, and especially people who decide to show up at 9:40 for a 10 o'clock event, and they think they're going to get breezed right through. That's usually not the case.
And I want to thank our YouTube audience for sticking around through that first trouble with the audio session. If you've got more questions for Kevin, please type them in. And we are going to give away a prize at the end of the show, as always. So I really do appreciate that support. So yeah, so that's great, Kevin. I think we did kind of talk about getting verified, getting your player's card, all those kind of scoping out the venue, that kind of thing. Um, are there any other sort of like things that people might forget just before we turn to the next phase of the conversation here? Those last minute things that people might that people might have left behind and now it's too late. What's super crucial that they bring and super crucial that they just kind of do and cross off the list before they go pick up their chips and sit
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things, of course, registration is open 24/7, starting on May 30th at 9 a.m. So, if you're one of those people that's kind of a night owl and they want to they want to register for the event, a 10 a.m. event, and they don't really want to wait in line. Usually going overnight, it's usually the night before, or sort of depending on when you get into town. That's usually a good thing to get taken care of right away. So yeah, you have your seat assignment, so that you can come in. You can sort of last minute show up before the start of the tournament, and then you'll get to your seat and play from the beginning. And it's like I said, it's of course always make sure you have your ID, your play, like I mentioned before, you need to have the player's card anyway to register for events. So, which is available. There's going to be a desk, right in front of the Paris entrance, the ballroom entrance. There'll be a Caesars reward desk for any Caesars property around the country, and also Casino Windsor for those who have that option available. You can get your player's card there. And that saves you a step from having to deal with trying to find a location when you're in Vegas to get your player's card and get that out of the way.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think people do forget to do that. One of the things that people might not realize when they get down there, this isn't really your area of expertise, Kevin, but I'm going to ask you anyway. They go looking for flights and accommodations online. They get down there, they find a great deal, and then they realize that there is a $39 resort fee every night that they're staying in Las Vegas. Are there sort of like tricks or things that you can do to get around that resort fee? I know there's like a couple loyalty rewards cards that people can get, or other than having diamond membership with the hotel that they're staying at or something like that. Are there any kind of tried and true tricks, or is there a go-to way to get around those resort fees?
Yeah, there's definitely some cards. I'm trying to remember the names off the top of my head, but I think the Founders card
I've heard
is
that.
one of them.
Yeah.
Founders card, win and rewards. If you have status at other casinos, you should be able to match your status with Caesars. If you have like I'm trying to remember, it's off the top of my head. It's sort of like there's definitely a lot of information out there where you can sort of like you can try to match your status. Like if you have status at MGM, at MGM properties, you can match that. Caesars will match that, so you'll get a diamond card. Diamond cards, diamond card and up at Caesars properties means you don't have to pay the resort fees. And there are some properties. I believe the Sahara is one that doesn't charge resort fees. I may be wrong on that, but there are a few properties that don't have resort fees, so that may be. You may want to look around, and that option is available as well. So resort fees are definitely one way that the casino will get you. That you don't even have to gamble; they'll get you with that.
Yeah, that's right. And I do know also, if you do have one of those fancy platinum or diamond cards or something like that, I believe you also jump to the front of the line on cash tables and get to the very top
Yes.
of the waiting list for cash tables, and that can be a significant difference. Depending on how busy you are, depending on how many tables are out there. I remember last year. I am not one of those fancy people with with the loyalty card, and so I was on the list for 4 or 5 hours one time, and just seeing people walk up and go to the top of the list with their diamond card. It really if you think about your hourly rate playing as a cash player or something, I'm not sure how long it would take to make that pay for itself. But think about it, folks. If you're heading down there, you probably only have a few days to play. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time waiting on a wait list. I know a lot of the card rooms, you can also just call the room remotely and get added to the list, or you can use the Bravo app to add yourself to cash game table lists in Las Vegas as well when you're down there. And so I'd encourage people to just check in advance. Just go call. Don't just go showing up somewhere expecting to be able to play, because you never know. Everyone's going to be busy this time of year, and you want to give yourself a chance to spend as little time waiting as possible and get to the top of the line. That's another thing. You mentioned the champagne room, Kevin, where the verification process is taking place. Is that also, I think you said, the main registration room this year?
Right. Yes. The main WSOP cage is that's also in Champaign. I think they're gonna. It's the way I'm trying to remember it. Like I said, Champaign was it just passed the entrance last. Verification was just past the. It was in the Burgundy room, if I recall correctly. But they're moving it. I guess it's probably to make things a little bit easier, because the Burgundy room was kind of off to the side, and this year they're gonna have it like in the center, yeah, in that Champagne ballroom, because it's a pretty large room, so they'll have like a section just dedicated to verification. There's verification. There's player services. A variety of different, several different offices are going to be in that Champagne ballroom for players to get various issues squared away.
And one of them that I could, for whatever reason, it was easiest for me last year to actually bring cash. And so I got down to the registration room and I was able to rent a safety deposit box for a couple of weeks while I was down there. And that was really handy. I mean, it's nice having your cash not in your pocket and not in your bag and not in your room, but under lock and key. But another perk of the safety deposit boxes is that if you have a safety deposit box, you actually go right to the front of the line and you can register to tournaments at the same desk that you get your box and you open and close your box. So there could be 120 people in line, but there's only 4 people in line for the safety deposit box access. And then when you're there, that does make it a lot easier to register as well. I know they've got different sizes there as well and that kind of thing. So what other kind of tips can we give? We heard from Kim Kilroy on some of the items that we should carry down there. Kevin, what when people are wandering the halls with that dazed look on their face, pulling their hair out because they forgot to bring something in particular, is there anything you can think of to add to Kim's list? Anything else that people might want to make sure they don't leave at home when they're coming down?
That's a good question. Now, I mean, another important thing to know is that registration is only available in Paris. If there being 2 locations for the WSOP, there's definitely people assume that you can register at Horseshoe as well, which is not the case. Last year, for certain events, they had you could re-enter on the Horseshoe side, but you can only register for events at Paris. That's another important thing that you should be aware of. Even though your seat may actually be at the Horseshoe, you have to get everything done at Paris. And other tips, I mean, it's sort of like you sort of have to know to pace yourself. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of this. It's sort of like you get to Vegas and you're just like ready to go, and you got to make sure you're well rested. Especially if you're the day before an event, you don't want to be, you certainly want to enjoy the nightlife in Vegas, but you got to also know that you got to make sure you get plenty of rest before you because you don't want to be too tired, you don't want to be hungover, stuff like that. You don't want that to happen when you spend your hard-earned money to play the event, and then if you bust out in a couple hours because you weren't in tip-top shape, that's always an issue.
Yep, good one. So now let's talk about the last thing we'll ask you about tonight, unless we see any other questions come up in the YouTube chat. So on the far side of it here, we've come down prepared. We've gotten verified. We've got our player's card. We got down there the day before. We figured out where the washrooms were. We've got our bottled water. Some of us have made a peanut butter and jam sandwich and a banana that they've got stashed in their bag. And they've made it. They've won a bunch of money. I don't know if they got a bracelet or not, but they did really well, and they've won a big prize. So what happens next to these players? Is it as simple as you get your elimination slip, you walk up to the cage, and they just hand you the full amount in cash? Is that Joe? If you've got something you want to jump in here with, please do it for us. But
I was going to say most of the time they just wake up, but maybe that's pessimistic.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, I've got a good feeling about our listeners coming down this year. So what are their options for how they get paid, Kevin? And what you talked about some tax forms. Where does that kick in? And do they withhold part of your winnings at the casino floor, or do they give you all and you kind of have to report it on your own from there? How does that work?
Yeah. So when you fortunately make a win, have a big score, again for you, excuse me, for U.S. players, it's $5,000. It's net $5,000. So which is why if you min cash the main event, the min cash is $15,000. If it's 15,001, that's a taxable form. So that's why they make the buy. That's why your min cash is that. I mean, it's a lot of having to do that form for hundreds of people is definitely no funnier on the Caesar side. So they that's why the min cash is 1.5. For most of the events it's 1.5 times the buy-in, but they make it a flat 15,000 for the main event. So you can request chips, you can get cash, you can get chips and cash, you can get a check, you can have the money wired to your bank account. Like I said, if the net's over 5,000, that you'll get a W2G. I believe in most cases you can have them deduct, I believe it's 25% of your winnings if it's taxable. I don't want to be 100%, but I think that's the case for most. They have that option available so that you don't have to wait until the end of the year to pay that tax. You can sort of pay it in advance. I don't know how many people do that, but again, when you're at the cashier, they'll tell you what options are available with your winnings. Of course, hopefully if you're the last one standing, you get a nice gold bracelet and a nice bracelet ceremony if you wish.
Yeah, well, that's what we should all be. That's what we should all be looking forward to. I think, and that's one of the great things about these tournaments. Someone's got to win. Someone's got to win. They're not gonna stop the tournament before someone wins that bracelet. Why not you, RecPoker audience member? Why not? There are a bunch of like $500, $600, $800 tournaments that are on the schedule this year. I don't see why it couldn't be one of our audience members coming home with a little hardware.
And also, as the $300 Gladiators Poker, which is the smallest live buy-in bracelet event in history. So that's gonna be a really, really big field. Taking part in that. So there's definitely plenty of 3-digit option bracelet events that will be available for those who they want to take their one shot at glory in Las Vegas. That's those events are definitely up there. It may be appropriate for their bankrolls.
I like it. And I guess one last question. I know different tax treaties with different countries exist, and I'm not going to call you a tax lawyer. This is not legal advice. Kevin's not an accountant. But like, for instance, I'm from Canada. You were talking about Kim being from Canada earlier. Are there additional burdens when it comes to getting paid out fully? How much of that is left to you as the player to negotiate with your own country's tax situation? How much of it is handled by the casino at the point of prize awarding? For Canadians, it is 30% of your winnings is taken off. It's basically paid. We'll just call it paid from your winnings. So, and I'm sure you or other Canadians know there's various firms that will help you kind of recover some of those winnings after when you're back home and when you fill out your 2013 forms. Ways to get that, get some of that money back. And yeah, there are some countries that like the UK, several other European countries where they're not taxed at all, which is definitely encouraging for those players. And there's others that if they they would need to get what's called the ITIN. That's because they may be, if they don't have an ITIN, they're going to be taxed 30% of their winnings. But if they have an ITIN and they're from a tax-free country, then those funds are not taken from them when they collect their winnings. Interesting. Kim, you had something there?
Yeah, I do. As a person, as a Canadian who has won a couple of times a little bit of money in the US, they do withhold the 30%, and it's very easy to do it yourself. You don't have to go and pay to have it done. You just have to, the first time you do it, you have to file a W-5, which also gets you an ITIN number. But then some of the things that they want to know, and some of the things that people don't keep track of, is every day you were in the US, that you've set foot on US soil during the calendar year and the 2 previous years.
Okay, that's
So
pretty
the
specific.
2 previous years, they only want to know number of days. The tax year that you're claiming the money for, they want to know dates that you were in the US. So if you're going down and you're going to be playing some events as a Canadian, just start now. It's still only April. Start writing down the dates that you're going to be in the US or you have been in the US. The other thing you have to do is you have to keep track of all your gambling wins and losses, because you can claim them. You have to claim your gambling wins and losses. It's just 2 lines on the form you fill out yourself on the tax form. Super easy to do. If any of our members have any questions about it, I can certainly give them some pointers and some help. But those are the kind of tips that you don't realize until you're going to file the following year and you have no clue what days you were in the US and you have no clue about your gambling wins and losses. So that's why if you don't keep your receipts or you don't have a bankroll tracker on your phone, then you just need to somehow write everything down. Even if you walk by a slot machine and you put $20 in, write it down. Like, it's just really important for your claims on your tax return.
That's great advice. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, I will add, it is important to get as much documentation as possible. And one thing that a lot of people will DM me about after the World Series of Poker, and it's something I should let people know more during the series itself. But those kiosks also, even if you don't use them to register for events, you can get a receipt. It'll show you all the events that you've registered for. So if there's a lot of people, in Canada, basically every poker player, needs a record of the events that they actually played. So any tournaments that you've played, you can go to the kiosk and you can request your player report. It will show all the tournaments that you played for during the summer. That's a good thing to have if you're returning home, they have that printout with you, so you can have that additional documentation of what events you've actually played. Like Kim said, if you're spending, if you decide to put $20 in the slot, you should write that down as well. And this is, it's basically the same size as it's something that you can get emailed to you, so you can have that additional documentation when you file your taxes for next year.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Documentation is key for this kind of thing. And if you're listening at home, and as Canadian in particular, Kim's got a forum at RecPoker that's free for everyone to post in and reply in. You don't need to be a premium member. It's just one of the free perks of being a RecPoker member. It's called Poker Travel Adventures. And if you have any questions for Kim about the logistics of filing that form out or how to claim the full amount of your winnings, then post a question in there, and Pet Vet herself, I'm sure, will drop a little knowledge bomb on you and help you out there. I'm gonna follow up myself because I'm anticipating a big score this summer, and I don't want to have to leave a penny of it behind if I can help it. Kevin, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you so much for coming through here and jumping through some audio hoops for us. I really do appreciate that. I wish we could just keep rolling with this, but I know you've got a lot on the go. And we're probably going to have to put half of this interview on the editing room floor. But I think we got some really good stuff out of you. Oh, is there anything else that you'd like to leave with our listeners? Is there anything that we've failed to capture, or anything that we can do to make your job easier or more fun when we're down there hanging out with you?
Well, there's probably a few things that I'll forget, but one thing I should know is that if you want a good, there's several places where you can get a schedule of what events are going to be going on in Las Vegas this summer. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of Kenny Heller's Vegas spreadsheet, and I should note that I am working for if if you didn't see me earlier, I do work for the Henry Mob, which is the definitive poker tournament database. And we do have, last year we created a website called summerinvegas.com. And it basically shows all the various tournaments going on this summer in Las Vegas. We had various filters that you can sort by buy-in, sort by, type of event. The past couple of years, the mystery bounty format is very popular. So yeah, summerinvegas.com, we should have that cycle live mid-May, hopefully. We're still waiting for the Orleans to give us, the poker community, their schedule, but we'll have all the summer schedules on there as well, so that people can pick and choose and see what events are available in Las Vegas from mid-May until the end of July.
Nice. Well, there's some friendly comments in the chat here. Stuart Carriage says, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin. And we've got some other fun folks here. Jim Cree, Luke. In fact, we'll Phil, even being generous every once in a while. We'll talk to them a little later on once we've let you go. So, folks, I'm just going to say we're going to do our food bank drive after we talk about some recent home game winners. So you can start typing the words food bank into the chat now. Kevin, speaking of food banks, I hope you get a chance. I hope you allow me to buy you a meal, or at least a cold frosty beverage when we're down there. I think we're going to be doing our RecPoker meetup June 23rd to 28th. We might even be getting a meetup game out there, which could be fun. I don't know if you're not much of a cash player, are you? Do you tickle the felt in the cash arena from time to time, or are you strictly tournament junkie?
I'm definitely more of a tournament person myself, but I would, I know I met some of the RecPoker group last year, and hopefully I'll see even more of them this year. For the 23rd for 20th. Hopefully I haven't lost my mind before you guys get there. But
no promises.
I can't promise myself, because it's every year there's always something that's going on, so that will drive me nuts. But I have sort of an even keel, which fortunately works out in these situations. But you never know. So if I am appearing a little standoffish or rude, or because I am definitely, Jim's met me enough times that I'm not the most vocal person, but I try my best to be a nice person, as I am on the Twitter. I will look forward to meeting Stewie and Kim and Jim and anyone else that decides to come down from the 23rd to the 28th.
Awesome. Well, you're one of my favorite people to hook up with in Las Vegas, Kevin. So have a great first month. Get the city all warm and tingly for when we get down there. Just warm them up, and then we're going to come down and knock them down. It's going to be a great freaking time. Kevin Mathers, everybody, at KevMath on Twitter is the best way to get a hold of him. And just thanks again, man. Travel safe, and remember to have some fun and get some sleep while you're down there if you can.
I will definitely do my best, and thanks very much for having me on.
All right, we'll talk again soon, Kevin.
Take care.
Well, the one and only Kevin Mathers. So glad to talk to him again. And thank you to our listeners for getting through our some audio issues early. But we are going to do our food bank draw here and give away some prizes to some members. Why don't I start? We don't have John Somsky today, so we're going to tap in host Jim here to start congratulating some recent home game winners, and then we'll have our food bank draw. So on April 20th... Oh, yeah, Joe.
Do I get to interrupt you?
Yes! Joe, I love it. Joe's been Johnny on the spot in the YouTube chat, too. I feel like I've got an honorary producer in the booth with me. So Chris and John, watch your back, fellas. You never know what's going to happen. He's on the scene. Thank you, Joe, for maintaining that sort of role here. It's important that the person doing the home games gets interrupted at least once. On April 24th, Larson's opening, as George Borden won the daily series. I'm not going to try and decipher John's complicated system of numbers that follows that tells people what overall this year daily win versus mixed game. But congratulations, George. Just winning any of the RecPoker home games is a victory. Stuart Carriage, our own Stewie13 in the chat, won on April 25th. Way to go. On the 26th, MN Ted, Philip Fuhrer. On April 27th, Kelly's 196220. I know who that is, but I'm not going to say their name out loud. Congratulations to that person, though. Michael Babker back in the winner's circle on April 28th. And Stewie, once was not enough, twice is twice as nice. So he's back on April 29th to win the daily home game one that day. On the mixed event, we had Apple Oh My Eye, Harold Berry coming through. For the International Series on Saturday, our morning winner was Michael Babker again. So we got several repeat winners here tonight, which is really impressive. These are hard tournaments to win, so kudos to Michael and Stewie as our two-time winners on this week. And then on the 29th as well, the afternoon international game was won by KekGeek65, whose name is private, so we'll just never know who that is. And the LPP Sunday event winner was our very own Kim Pet Vet Kilroy, who doesn't need anything in the realm of getting better at poker. She's got enough memberships to enough exciting training sites. But nevertheless, Kim, you've won a free month to learn pro poker. So when you've got some time on your schedule, send me that email. We'll hook you up.
Well, I have a lifetime membership, so maybe we could give it away sometime to one of our listeners.
That's a great idea. You know, I think some of our listeners tonight kind of deserve a little boost, don't you? Maybe this is a chance that we can enrich our community even further than we normally would. Tell you what, Kim, you run a hand history review group every month. Why don't, in one of your sessions coming up, why don't you do a draw or pick amongst the people that come to your review group, and we can give away the month end. It kind of, you won it, you earned it. We should give it to the people that study with you. What do you think?
Sure, I can do that. I mean, those are just premium members, but
well, it pays
nice
to be
to
a
open it up
premium
to-
member. Pays to be a premium member.
True.
You're right, though. We should give something away to our free members. So we will make it a prize tonight as well. We're going to give away a whole extra month of Learn Pro Poker. So that's going to be the prize tonight for that intrepid group that's been sticking around and has been entering the words food bank into the chat here. So if you're a Kim Kilroy fan, you got a couple chances to win. If you're not a premium member, but you're here tonight, then just type those words food bank into the chat, and we're going to do... Oh, no, I'm going to need some nerdy dice without Chris. Oh, this whole place falls apart without Chris and John. Look at what... God, what a mess. Okay, we're doing our best.
So we're giving 2 prizes away.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And I want to remind our listeners, a great way to help us out is by supporting our sponsors. Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. They've got some fun stuff coming up on their calendar. If you go to runaces.com, that's runaces.com, you can find out some more details about their tournament series and some other cool events that they've got coming up. We are going to be doing a RecPoker weekend over at Running Aces one of these days too. So don't miss out on that. We'll have more details coming about dates and that sort of thing. Yes, and as Joseph Koulis points out in the chat, I will clean your gutters. That, if you were listening last week or maybe the week before, you know what that's about. So look out. I am coming down there, ladder in hand. You never know. You never know what could happen. All right, so Joe, why don't you back me up in this one, just so that Phil doesn't accuse us of any tomfoolery or bamboozling. The first food bank that I'm seeing in here is Stuart Carriage. Is that does that match your read of
Yes.
that? All right.
Yep.
So
I have 6.
yeah, list them in order. I don't want to get any. I don't want to get any more letters from Phil's lawyers. So Stu's first.
You know, Stewie, Mary, McCune, Jim Cree, Luke O, Evil Roy, Slade, and then CM Magic 62. But
Okay.
Evil Roy said he wants to be taken out for the LPP because I think he already has a membership. So
He does. He does. Oh, I love. We are getting some fun in the chat here. Okay, so we're gonna make CM Magic 62. You're gonna be number 5, and if we roll a 6, we'll do a reroll. We're just gonna use a boring old 6-sided die. Let's see what we do. It's a 1. Of course, it's a 1. Oh man, it's been so long since I rolled it. I had even forgotten about. Oh, Charles Morgan. Hey, Charles, right
Yeah.
on, man. So unfortunately,
Stewie wins.
yes, Stewie wins again. Stewie's on a roll. I think Stu won. I think didn't he win last week or the week before that as well? Just goes to show, folks. Come check out the RecPoker podcast, free Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern on YouTube. You can win a prize just for showing up. And I think we said we were going to do 2 prizes tonight. So let's do the same order. We're going to roll again. I wish we had this on an ISO cam so people could tell. They're just taking my word for what the roll is. But no, yeah, Taylor says, why even roll at this point? No, well, I mean, you're kind of onto something. Here we go. Don't be a 1. It's a 5. Charles Morgan. Oh, that's great. So congratulations, Charles. I think I saw an email from you. So this is not a bit. I talk about being behind on my emails quite a bit. It's I'm actually just behind on my emails. It's just one of those things. I'd love to be more on top of it. Often I am more on top of it. At this particular point, I'm just a little behind. So Charles, thanks for putting up with me, and I will be getting back to you soon. But in the meantime, Charles and Stu, send me an email, jim@rec.poker. Get in the pipeline. You've won a free month at Learn Pro Poker, and we are going to get you a cool prize. You're going to get better at poker just from sticking around and listening to the show and being the lucky person that got rolled in there. Yeah, that's right. Yahoo from Texas, says Charles. Yahoo, right back at you, man. I can't wait to get to know you better and send you off that free month. All right, Joe and Kim, save me. What else? Is there anything else that we need to cover on this rambling explosion of a podcast?
The Big Bang Theory, poker since in the Egyptian times. How far back you want to go?
I will put a link in the travel forum that is to Kim Unger's tableau of all of the poker tournaments, and it's a really nice one because it gives you the ability to put in ladies or seniors or whatever, or PLO or whatever you're looking for, and it will thin them out. Like, I know that Kenny's is very difficult to weed through everything to see exactly what you want to play. So I will put a link in the travel forum for anybody that's interested in that guide. It's a really good one for this awesome. 2023 summer Las Vegas poker scene.
Nice, thanks, Kim. Yeah, there's a few good resources like that, and being able to drill into it makes a big difference. So just to address a couple notes in the chat before we get out of here, that we are going to be recording the forums edition right after this. If you go to the rec.poker website and just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the calendar of events for this week. And our premium members are all welcome to join us in the forums edition. Nothing makes us happier than when a premium member brings a hand or a forum post that they'd like to discuss, and we just get to do an episode about it right there on the air. So please come join us there if you like. And otherwise, this week we've got the very last session of the book study with Matt Matros's The Poker Brain. Rob Washam has been leading us through that. And Matt's actually going to be joining us for a Q&A, because this will be the last session, the second last session we're going to do on this book. And so you can, for God's sake, come join our premium membership here for $5 in the first month. Join the book study on Wednesday evening, and you can talk to Matt Matros about his book, ask him questions, and see what he's got to say, and just join the group there. I'm not sure what we're doing next. I think Rob's doing a poll on how we're going to choose the next book, but that's going to be really fun. Of course, on Wednesday evenings every week, you can join Taylor Moss on his Twitch stream as he plays the home game live on Twitch, and get inside his head. See just why does he make these decisions? Why the slow rolls, Taylor? Why? It hurts. It hurts some of us. Just mostly kidding there. Taylor laid a really good slow roll on me in one of our home games recently. But he's also a brilliant tactician at the game, and being able to get inside his head decision point by decision point through the action is fantastic. So if you go to twitch.tv/recpoker, Taylor streams his play every Wednesday night, playing in the home game. And this week is the Player of the Year race, the monthly series. It's the first Wednesday of the month, so people don't want to miss that. And the other thing, of course, that's going on every Thursday night, you can join Eric Binkley in his Play, Explain, and Learn, which is a phenomenal program that he runs weekly here and is open to all of our premium members. And I think more people should come and take advantage of this because it's one of the best ways to learn, and the best ways to challenge your own assumptions about poker, and the best way to learn how other recreational players like you are thinking about the game at various decision points along the way. So without further ado, I really want to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Again, we couldn't do it without them. We absolutely could not do it without Kevin Mathers, Kim Kilroy, and Joe Coolis for their fantastic contributions today. But mostly, it's you, the listeners, that we get out of bed for. So thank you for all your support, and we'll see you again next week.